Okay, we're back from recess. It is now 1 p.m., right? We're back at November 10th. And next item on the agenda will be the sheriff's budget. Sheriff, hope you're feeling better. And I understand you'll be talking via Zoom. And you sent a couple representatives here in the audience.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. And this was in case I had any audio issues, that make sure that I had somebody there. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I'm a little under the weather. I've been for like the last week. So I apologize for that. I hope my voice can get through it.
So I think at this point, this is the only topic we're going to be discussing. We have received your proposed budget. It is significantly higher than last year, so I guess that's why we're having this meeting, so you can explain to us. Go ahead and you'll take the floor, and we'll just follow you, okay?
Sure. So it all starts, I think, last year when we submitted it in October or September of last year, I can't recall which. And our proposed budget at that time was negotiated, I guess, or I guess lessened by the commissioners, and to get it under the whatever the budget commission had set. So a lot of items were left out: vehicles, personnel, equipment that for the vehicles, and was told that we'll discuss it after the first of the year with the carryover and see what we can do. Well, none of that materialized this year, so this is kind of just a continuance of last year's proposal to try to give you a realistic idea of what it takes to run the two elements we have out there, actually three. But two budgets out there with the jail and the roadside. Can everybody hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't mind.
So being a 24/7 operation, we get hit daily with the expenses, the food, equipment, repairs, maintenance, everything that comes up. It doesn't just stop for the weekend when we close the door or anything. On both sides, we have road, we have dispatch, we have the jail. So those expenses are coming in, and just like everybody's household, this last year has been chaotic. 2022 has. When we proposed the budget last year in October, and it was set in November, we didn't have the input like we're having right now to explain it, and those numbers were based on gas at the time, I believe, was in the 280s. We were projecting possibly gas prices going into, at least $3 by the end of the year. And, I think my team and I said, what's the high ceiling of this for 2022? And we kind of shot a number out like 330. And we all seen that went to 3 by the end of the year, and then 330 by, I think, March, or even if not sooner than that. And then it hit 4, and it skyrocketed to 5, and it was pretty consistent there for a while till it started coming back down. But we're still not even below the 330 that we projected. With that being said, obviously, that blew our fuel budget, and we were pretty much out by August. Projection-wise, till the end of the year, we knew we were going to be short. And so in May, when we received your letter from the commissioners basically saying, hold your horses, we're not going to be doing any more unless it's an emergency, work within your budget. And you've seen, as Jamie and Kylie and Mark can attest to, that we've been trying to do that since May. We've been like the Dutch people, putting our fingers in the dikes and moving money around and trying to be as diligent as possible. But like everybody else has seen, all the prices of everything, like I said, the food, the gas, the supplies, equipment, The services, maintenance has all doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. And so we've had to put stuff off. We've had to move money, not hire people on the jail side to get over to the enforcement side because of the low manpower that we have, filling those positions with overtime, the mandatory training that the state mandated us 24 hours each sworn deputy. So that while you're backfilling that costs you overtime. We did get a sum of money back in February or March for that. However, prior to me coming in, that line that money went to, it was roughly around 10,000, 9,900 something, is in a line, according to the auditors or Barb, that can't be utilized back to our wages. So that has to be discussed. So that could help a little bit. And unfortunately, if we don't use that money before the end of the year, the ruling this year was to return it. However, the state auditor's office and the attorney general's office has now put a hold on that, and it stays in the same line if we don't use it before the end of the year for them to make a determination on what to do with it. So if we don't move on that 9,000 something by the end of the year, putting that back into the wage line, then it has to just sit there. In the past, it's been able to be used for training, but again, that line was told cannot put it back into the wage line, and that's the only thing that has been given an opinion on this year, that sheriffs can do it, and most sheriffs had already done it at the beginning of the year when they got the money. Obviously, their lines were set up that way, and ours just never did because it never was an option before, apparently. So with prices doubling, tripling, quadrupling, the budget this year kind of reflects that, reflects the vehicles that we didn't get this year, the personnel that is needed to fill in those gaps, so that the safety issue of having 3 people out there at all times and not just sometimes. And if you just have a minimum manning of 3, they got to be able to take time off. We have somebody on FMLA right now that's causing us overtime that because we haven't been able to replace them. We don't have the money in our budget to be able to replace it. Now, with that being said, doing some more research, some of the contracts that we have that were in place before I took office, like Betsville and New Regal, JFS contract that just went into place in July that places manpower hours in those entities. That money is in the wage line right now every year, but those deputies get reduced off of the schedule because they have to put those hours into those places for those contractual things. So every time we have one of those, like when they had the SRO, it deletes our road power, our road manpower. I've been getting calls from several of the schools, desperate that they want an SRO and they want it today. Matter of fact, you'll probably be getting a couple calls from Old Fort and some of the other schools about that. My stance on that is that obviously, they're going to fund it, but I can't reduce my manpower on the road to be able to provide them that armed deputy in their school as a school resource officer. So the good news is that we do bill them. The money comes in, but it goes right back to the general fund. It doesn't go into our wage line. And I had discussed earlier with Stacy, and then I think I mentioned it in an email to you guys and Jamie. There is an ORC section that I found that actually covers that section. So when those contractual matters are entered into, like the current ones that we have and any ones that we would do in the future, that money, it states in the ORC, shall go into a sheriff's revolving fund to be used to fund those positions. So it needs to go back into the revolving line to pay for those positions. Obviously, those positions goes away, then that money is spent to fulfill that contract, and then no more money goes into that fund. The other thing that ORC says, and I don't know if Chuck brought a copy of it, if the chief brought a copy of that for you, Jamie, or for the commissioners, it says that that also won't reduce the numbers that are on the road. So that goes a long way right now, currently, in the manpower that we requested to cover 2.5 of those positions. Because if that money is redirected back to the revolving fund and back into the right lines, being the salaries, the PRS, and the Medicare, then right away you just can eliminate out of the proposed budget that we just proposed 2.5 of those deputy positions. So that would reduce it by that. The big chunks are obviously the personnel that is requested and the vehicles, for the 3 vehicles requested this year to make up for the vehicles this year and obviously next year. You know, so it's really 3 and 2 years. The vehicle that we still don't have, that was to replace the vehicle that was damaged in December and January, totaled out. It is still at the equipment place being equipped, so that still hasn't even made it on the road yet to replace, not new, but just to replace the one that wasn't even due to be rotated out as well. Ooh, I need to drink water. Hang on.
Poor guy.
Do you guys have that?
So that's
ORC?
real. You know, the rest of the chunk of the budget increase is just, if you go through the lines, supplies, service contracts, repairs, all because of the huge increases in the cost of things. We're still hopeful that we'll get the radio grant, and that wasn't included in here. That was a capital thing, so hopefully we can eliminate that from the capital as well. I guess I'll just stop right there and see after this point if there's any questions.
Sheriff, just out of curiosity, from 22 to 23, why is our software, like our contract services line up, or I'm sorry, look at the wrong line here.
Yeah, software is.
Yeah, the software is up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's up
We
almost
now
55%.
we started using the technology that was in the current software that we have with ProPhoenix. Across the board, they've increased their costs to all clients that they have, the 200-something clients that they have. We started using the jail portion of it, so we're being charged the maintenance of that. And we put the technology into the comm center and into the different modules that are going to make it more efficient at the sheriff's office with being a paperless, where that's why we got rid of all the files that we had out there, and we're able to get that space to build the comm room so that we could utilize the technology that was in place, but by adding to the technology that increased the software maintenance.
Pretty big jump.
It is.
Jamie?
Yeah.
Can you pull up the, how I listed it out in the analytics to see what all I listed? You can see the breakout of exactly
Yeah.
what was in there and why it's increased. I didn't read my copies.
So when you take on technology to make yourself, you know, I guess be more efficient, to give the ability for less time on call so you can go handle other calls, efficiency up at the comm room with their mapping, with how they get the different 911 entries to their to the facility, being that we can very, very soon here, we're working, actually the last couple weeks, they've been in and out of our computer server trying to get the text dispatch working for those incidences where you don't have phone service, you know, with your phone, but you can still text with it. Or if you're in a situation where you can't talk on the phone to alert the other person, you can text dispatch and stuff. Those things aren't free, but they're vital in those instances when it do happen. And it's not every day, but having that ability puts us that much better to be able to serve the residents of Seneca County. And that's really what with this whole proposal that there are values in our community, and you get as standards, by passing the inspections, reducing the liability. It all costs money. We went from barely cleaning out there at all to cleaning almost every day. Those are cleaning supplies, and I know Lex and Casey can say that Charmtex bill, is huge. Charmtex is who we contract with most of our items, the day-to-day items of a 24/7 jail, of just their hygiene stuff, their clothing, sandals. It all wears out because it's a 24/7. I guess that's the gist that I'm trying to get to the public and to everyone listening, is that we don't get to go home. It's round the clock utilities, it's round the clock ordering, it's round the clock supplies and equipment and repairs, because the washing machine is running 24/7. The dishwashers, the meals that they serve, the trays that they use, everything is being utilized and it breaks down. And unfortunately, I've been hit and you've been hit and we've been hit out there with decades old equipment that had to be replaced because it just cannot be fixed anymore. So that on both the capital side and on the operating side, it's like a double whammy. And I hate that I'm the one that has to do that, but and bring that to your attention. But I'd be negligent and malfeasing if I didn't at least give you a realistic view at what it takes to operate that both sides of the house.
This is Tony. I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So the Bettsville, New Riggle, JFS contracts, were any of those in place before you started?
The Bettsville and New Regal one were. The JFS is a grant through the state that we received in talks with the director out there, and the need for her to have a full-time deputy that's in uniform to help them with their caseloads out there, their investigations, and basically the security.
Okay, so
All reimbursed.
I just wanted to I want you to give me that number.
Yeah,
What
yep.
we're getting, I'm requesting the number that we get reimbursed from
Yes,
all,
sir.
from all three. So, but before you took office, the Bettsville and New
Bettsville,
Riggle,
New Regal, and an SRO contract were in place.
they were in place. So we, as a commissioner, that would go into general fund as you described, but the prior sheriff wasn't given an offset.
Correct.
Okay. So I'd like to know how much we get reimbursed there. Is that the equivalent for you? I'm looking at Chuck, Chief Deputy.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Chief Deputy. Is that 3 full-time people? Are these full-time people?
No.
2.5.
2.5.
2.5 people. Okay.
Because the New Regal one is only 20 hours. It's not a full 40 hours.
Do you find something to do with the other half? Is that person on the road then, the other half?
Right, we
Okay.
get them back out on the road to
Get
be
'em back on the
patrol.
road.
Yep.
Okay,
To
so
back
that-
up officers.
That answers that. We've been down, we've gone over this before, but I just want to clarify a couple things. So, 2021, I believe we could go back the end of 2020, but in 2021, and there's approximately $1 million worth of one-time. This comment is outside your day-to-day budget, your 6 point, because in 2021, we had a budget of like 5 something, and we ended up coming in at 6, it was 5761 was your budget in 2021. And then we ended the year, what was the end of the year? It was like 6.8, something like that. Okay, so if we had that discussion, as you took office, there really wasn't a budget in place for 2021. We it was COVID and all that, okay, Sheriff? But during that
Yes,
time,
for 2020.
yeah, we're into 2021, right? Okay, so during
Right.
that time, I believe, in addition to this, you know, all your lines in the budget, there were surprises. We were gonna put $1.25 million in a $5 million correction grant that we weren't successful getting. And then we had a list, meaning we, the commissioners, and you and us and Stacy, and we all had this list, and we kind of started checking boxes off. And that was approximately $1 million of one-time improvements that we made. Now, we can go back, let's go back and try to, you know, confirm that. But for conversation, as we go into this year, okay, with your budget, when Stacy left, I think we were at $412,000 of one-time transfers and expenditures above this, your day-to-day budget. That, you guys, we can all want to make sure we're on
Yeah.
the same page with
Yep.
that. It was like 412,000. And then we have requests sitting somewhere in here of around 700,000 of one-time capital kind of things. Does that sound right?
2023.
Okay, for 2023, Sheriff, okay? So I'm kind of saying 2021, it's around $1 million. That's in the rearview mirror, but it's, you know, there was a lot going on out there that first year. This year, I believe it's a little over 400,000. And next year, your request outside this budget for capital is approximately 700. We also have made application for the jail improvement, which we're all hoping we get. That would be money, I think, for all of us taxpayers well spent. So that's kind of outside. Am I misspeaking as far as your?
No, because
Okay.
if we get the grant, I would defer a lot of the capital improvement requests.
Okay, so my question to you now is, we are 10, 11 days into November. Can you finish the year, or if you're going to be short, what will you be short in fulfilling your 2022 6.626 budget? That's your budget.
Good question. Yes. So in May, we started projecting. That's why we've been moving money around. So we didn't have to come and ask you in August or September. We wanted to wait till the latest possible time that we could. And it looks like in the fuel supply area, back in May and in June, we were projecting out, Lex and I were projecting out that we were probably going to be about 40, 50 grand short in that. As of today, we're probably going to be about 12 to 13 because we moved money around. We've done some things to try to streamline the usage of all that. But that's just strictly related to gas prices and how it's ballooned and stayed that way above what we projected. So if we look at what our bills have been over the last couple bills that have come in for fuel, and if they stay the same, meaning that the gas prices stay the same, it looks like we're probably going to be 11 or 12,000 or 12 or 13,000 short. So we would need to put a sub app in next week for 15 grand just to make sure that if the price does go up before the end of the year, we don't have to come back as an emergency. And that would also prevent us from having a court order, which I know that the county auditor doesn't want those, because then the money wouldn't be there when the bill comes in. So I think Lex told me next week would be the deadline for when the November bill comes in for the fuel. So that would get us to the end of the year. But as we both sat last week and looked at everything, that would be the only thing that would, as it stands right now, knock on wood, that we would need to get to the end of the year because of all the movements we've had to do and the double, triple, quadruple pricing that we've been hit with this year.
Okay, so if I heard you right, as of today, barring something we don't know about, okay?
Right.
You feel that $15,000 added to your fuel line will allow you to pay all your, let's call them, your expenses
Invoice.
the rest of the year.
Just for fuel. That doesn't count as any other supply.
Okay, so I'm
that we should
asking,
need.
so guess what I'm asking is,
Overall.
part of this discussion, looking at next year's budget, I'm curious to know, so maybe you could send that to us,
Are
okay?
projected for fuel next year?
No, you're projected, so what, I'm sitting here now, okay? And if you need any money more than $6,626,000 for this year, because that's this year's budget, I'd like you to tell us, I'd like you to bring that up right now or in the next couple of days, so we know about it. You mentioned fuel, you have a lot of lines, a lot of moving parts. What I don't wanna do is get presented a goose egg right in December sometime that we need X amount of money for this year's budget. And so, I like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, we understand.
Okay, so, does Jamie, you wanna add to that, or is that Barb, anybody?
I think that would be helpful, if we could have that as soon as possible.
Is that-
Total number that you believe that you'll need to finish out the year. I have a question on something else.
Yeah.
I was looking at the, building automation system upgrade and just wondering what that was.
Sure.
Where's that at?
The building automation system, J&L had quoted us for that last year, and
Oh.
then Wadsworth, since we,
Go ahead and explain that, Lex.
I don't know how to explain that one. Sorry.
Was that the triple one? Was that the 3-quote one that they gave us?
No,
And
the
if it was
building
maybe
automation
this year,
one,
next year, or the following?
no, those were the pumps.
Okay.
The building automation system itself, I believe it's the computer system that runs everything.
The control systems?
Yes, I
For
think
the
so.
air handlers?
I think so.
Okay. In the capital you're talking about, Jamie?
This has it listed for $36,000, a request for $36,000, under contract services for the '23 budget.
Yeah.
Let me get with Steve, our maintenance guy, on that one, but I think that is to do with the air handlers and to, their JavaScript right now is what it was explained to me last year. And that's part of the problem that we're having with when they seize up and the software is so old that they don't even support that anymore. And that was to upgrade them to the, I guess, newest, best software handling for the 8 air handlers that control the jail. And as you know from my frantic emails or texts or calls to you guys over the summertime when it was 90-something degrees and 100 back in the jail, you know, when they would just stop working, that we had to get them in here, which again is on the weekends or after hours, which causes an increase in prices and stuff for them to fix those air handlers and the control switches, which again, those air handlers are original, so they're 27 years old now, and they've been running nonstop. And so having the preventive maintenance that we had to do last year, told me that was part of that huge cost of just getting J&L and other companies in there to service and maintain stuff that hadn't been for decades. That's large part of the cost. And then now, you know, the preventive maintenance of it is going to keep them at least working and there's some semblance of a schedule of maintenance on them. But at all costs.
So,
I have another.
go
Can I
ahead.
ask one more?
Yeah, that's good.
With the software increase cost, quick question, are those contracts that the commissioner signed and that they're increasing?
Phoenix was a grant that was probably 2012.
Okay.
And you'd have to look back and see that, but I'm sure it was because the whole county went to it, county and the, which provided the money for the laptops for the cars and the server, or not server because Tiffin houses a server, but it's the maintenance, yearly maintenance of the software agreement, which was low, at the time because not a lot of the moving parts were being utilized. The more stuff you use, the more maintenance there's going to be. So as we started last year and at the end of the year and into this year, this year we started the jail package, which has the old software package was from the late 80s, 89, I believe, and was on its last leg. They basically, told us that we had to do an upgrade, which was going to cost us $36,000 to jump to the latest patch, which they hadn't patched anything up to then. But it wasn't really useful for us anymore. And the Phoenix had the jail package that merges actually all the information in the same package. So we don't have to look in two different systems. We don't have to log into two different systems. It's the same system. So it was just a no-brainer efficiency-wise and effectiveness-wise to keep that those documents in the same server setting, I guess, is that. And I guess to answer your question, that would have been signed in 2012,
Okay.
that agreement.
And are any of the new contracts that you guys have rolled out last year contracts, did you sign those with the reoccurring costs? Or did the commissioner sign those contracts and aware of the increase, that there was going to be increased cost on those?
Yeah, they were, because Stacy and I had, that was pointed out to me back then, and so all of them were sent through, but there's not a lot of them there.
Okay.
Just get the individual, like the common room stuff.
So, any more questions?
No. Okay.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so Barb, I asked this question yesterday. So just I want to, so I'm trying to, we have a operating general fund budget, okay? And then we have a big massive building out there that's we have to take care of. We've had a ton of one-time request improvements. We have a list put together, which I like, so when a grant comes along or whatever, we're shovel ready for that. We can prioritize it. I'm looking at this budget, it's a 15% increase over last year. Now, when I look at last year, and I asked Barb before the meeting, maybe I misunderstood something. Back to Sheriff, how much money are you gonna need to finish the year, okay? I believe you said that the road's at 92% and the jail's at 67%. Okay, so if you're at 67%, so with 6 weeks, 7 weeks to go in the year, that, if I'm just a layperson looking at that, not counting all this one-time stuff, that seems like we should get to the end of the year. Am I missing something? I'm looking at you.
No,
because-
you're right based on those percentages, but
But
you
there's
also,
stuff flying around we don't know about.
I mean, they have additional money in their salary lines in the jail side that I can see that there's I don't know based on projection, the roadside is gonna be short on their salary.
Okay, so
And that's why
I
they
don't
get
care
that-
what
that's
line it's in.
But
All I wanna
that's
know-
in total,
Yeah.
they would probably be short. And I'm just going to throw this number out there. I'm not sure if this is an accurate number or not. I would say $250,000 to $300,000, quite possibly, as far as supplies for the kitchen or cleaning supplies or fuel or wages, things like that. Those are going to be things that,
So that's the number I want to hear versus this percentage, because when I look at the percentage,
correct.
you know, so, I mean,
And that might be even a high number.
I hope it is.
I haven't,
But we need to know what
I
it
didn't
is
have a
if we can
chance
get
from
to it.
yesterday till, you know, with board day, I haven't had a chance to really crunch those numbers. I can look at it and give you a
Gotcha.
better idea.
Would you do that?
Mhm.
Okay, and then you can compare with the sheriff and Lex, and make sure we're, okay, Jimmy?
I want to ask Barb, is that a guess based on the initial 6.6 or based on where we are after all the appropriation adjustments we've done to that number this year?
I would say that's probably based on where we are as of today.
Okay,
What
so
we've done as far as
okay,
giving
so
them.
really the total number expense wise from those lines is going to be what? Not 6.6 plus 250 or 300. It's wherever we at with the adjustments we've had this year.
Right.
Plus 250 or 300, and that's an
Yeah.
estimate. It's a
That's
guess.
what I wanna
Yeah.
know, I wanna get, yeah, so we have made adjustments. And 2021 was the first year, COVID year. I kinda, that was 2021, Sheriff, let's just leave it at that. But 2022's been you know, we had a budget, we had a year. You know, if you come in and tell me my fuel is, you know, 8,000 higher than I thought it was, just hypothetical, okay? And, you know, we can put a handle on some of these increases. I mean, utilities and all that are, but I don't know how we get to 400,000. I just don't know. I just want to know how, what it is, and then, comment after that. Up to you. Is that good? Fair
Yeah.
question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so, your thought on, any thoughts? Anything?
Just still digesting all this, just,
Yeah.
I mean, I know everything's going up, but, just trying to wrap my head around it right now. Listening.
Okay, so, you know, what we're trying to do is create we have other electeds, we have the general fund, we're trying to put a budget together and keep meet everybody's needs. We have other requests, so we will, I think we have a few unanswered questions, so what I'd like to see is I would like to see I don't need the contract, but I want to know the reimbursement amount for Bettsville, New Riggle, and JFS. And my understanding is we have a full-time person in Bettsville, one at JFS, and a half person in New Riggle, okay? And then, the one-time expenses, in my mind, Sheriff, I have that list that we were all working on, we were checking things out, and we had a couple side things. That was almost $1 million, and then we have 412 this year, you can look that up, I want to refresh my
Okay.
memory what that is. And if we can't figure it out internally, we can, Kylie, you can figure it out, or Stacy, we can figure it out. Okay, I just want to know that. I want to look at the 700 that's requested for next year, I just want to see that, take a picture, and then we have the grant out there. So, when we're looking at your budget, it's payroll, it's salaries, it's expenses, it's day-to-day stuff. That's what this we need to be looking at, okay?
Yes, sir.
What's the leases for at the jail? So it was 0 last year and then 7,200 this year?
And that was, the leases got moved, we have the copiers, printers, all of that, and we were paying that prior to last year, we were paying that out of, the services line, and then we got told that we need to move them to the leases, so that's why it's gotten moved, it's just been reappropriated to a different line.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
So I have a maintenance question. This is just a broad question, Sheriff. So prior to some point in time, maybe you taking office, the prior administration took care of that building out there. Is that a fair? It just didn't seem like the county was aware, or I don't know. You had 2 maintenance people and you kind of took care of things. Is that a fair statement?
I had one maintenance person, and I only have one maintenance person.
Okay, so you had one. Okay.
I'm not gonna get into the politics of it, but, the county maintenance person, did not go out there. And that wasn't by his choice.
So right now, going forward, we have, and as we move forward together through this, and we list capital improvements and we talk about maintenance and, the jail's a big part of that.
Right.
But I'm not sure it was before. Okay, I mean, it was, the place functioned, but, okay. So, does, what belongs in here and what belongs not in here that's part of,
John
maintenance?
could give you a better, probably wrap up on that, if you talk to him on what they provide out there, like the roofs. If that's the direction your question is asking.
I think so. So
Yeah.
the public and all of us just are clear on that, because I think if a roof needed repair, that would not reflect you, and then if you needed, 100,000 for something, I just wanna make sure that's clear. That's
Right.
good, that's good, yeah, I'm good with
And
that.
I know that in emergency situations, John has, and when, for everybody listening, John, the county maintenance guy, has helped us out and directed us with either some of their maintenance funds or whatever in emergency type situations last year and this year.
And again, this, for me, this isn't a knock at all on any prior administrations, because I know for a fact if something was needed, the sheriff came in, requested it, and the county commissioners and the county administrator took care of it. But it was more that process, as maybe we're talking about taking more long-range looks at different improvements and.
Yeah, the preventative maintenance part is what we're trying to get to so that we don't get hit with these constant emergency requests. We can kind of see them coming if we know that, hey, for example, our steamers are 16 years old that are on the capital request. Well, I didn't find that out until the kitchen person told me that, hey, we're having problems again with this one. And I asked, I said, well, how old is it? Well, this is 16 years old. Well, you can't keep putting money into a commercial steamer that probably should have ended up being used as much as we're using it for. And, it doesn't get shut down because it's making the 3 meals a day. So they're in at 4 in the morning and they leave at, 8 o'clock at night. So it's getting run probably 14, 15 hours a day. So probably should have had only a service life of, 8 to 12 years and not 16 to 17 that both of them are. So stuff like that. Yeah, the preventive maintenance is going to catch up and stop all this emergency. But to do the preventative maintenance, you got to have these companies coming in, once or twice a year, servicing that equipment and looking at it for any problems, and oiling and replacing parts and pieces. But that
Yeah,
costs.
I think there's some of that happened, that you just went ahead and
Yes.
did it. And we weren't accustomed to it being handled that way. Okay?
Yeah, and I apologize
So
coming in.
we've had this discussion, so I just want to make sure as we go into next year, we're unraveling stuff. My point is, we have these capital requests, we're applying for grants. We've already spent $1 million for plus or minus in one-time costs since you've been there. So I just don't want to keep talking about, well, I'm 50, and I'm just giving an example, so this is not true, Sheriff, okay? But I don't want to come in and say, well, he's 50,000 over budget because he went out and he fixed this thing. What you need to do when that happens is come in here and let us know,
Yes.
look, my dishwasher blew up, and can we get a new one? And then we'll get you a new one. But the other way is just not how we're used to doing it. We don't want to do it that way, let's put it that way. So that's just a little housekeeping thing as we go into our third budget together next year.
Well, on a brighter note, to I guess wrap it up, because of the improvements, because of the increases to the health and the safety that we've done back there, we are passing the jail inspections, state compliant for the 2 years in a row, passing all the federal inspections. We're up to 8 now since beginning of last year. We negotiated because of that. We were able to renegotiate the detainee price, which is going to bring in, more than double the money that we brought in last year. So hopefully some of that, helps to offset the increases that are being put back into the facility and the budgets. We've gotten contracts with, or not contracts, we've gotten agreements and MOUs with Marion, the city of Marion, the Hancock County, Findlay, city of Findlay, and Wyandotte County to house their overflow. So, we're doing our part to try to offset these increases that we're asking for.
Good.
And we'll continue to do that.
Do you, sorry, you good?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I'm looking at Chief Deputy, anything?
You asked earlier
Go ahead,
about, you asked earlier about the money bringing in from Bettsville, New Regal.
Yeah.
Bettsville, so far up to September in 2022, it's 51,592 that we received money in. For New Regal, it's 8,320. What's billed out for October is 4,844 to Bettsville and 1,040 to New Regal. Those are those figures that, and Jamie can confirm them.
Perfect,
That's
thank
what I
you.
just got from the ladies.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. Let's go around the horn as I can use that word.
There's nothing right now, just like I said, just kind of sink my head into this here a little bit, and just getting questions answered, so wanted to hear from everybody.
Yeah.
The radios that are listed in the equipment and the equipment lines, are those in addition to the 17, didn't you guys apply for the grant?
No, those are the same.
They're the same.
They are
Plus
the
five.
same. So
Okay.
We're putting it in the budget because they do we have to go to new radios. It's whether we're gonna have to ask for it through the
I think-
budget or if we can get the money with the grant.
But I think you guys all
Is
discussed
that
all
separate grant or
that
is that part of that?
with John Spar and everything, and that part of
Yeah.
that, going from digital to be able to communicate with Fostoria and be able to communicate with Tiffin Police Department. They both went to digital and now we can't communicate with them, so.
Yeah.
And then also too, that grant, I also put in for it to add radios for the village departments as well. So they'll be able to communicate. But we're hoping for that grant. November 16th is when we're supposed to get word, so.
Okay.
Fingers
Can only
crossed.
hope, yes.
Well, you can sure call us when you get one.
Oh, yeah.
We will.
Don't worry, you'll hear me yell from here to all the way from there.
What was the amount of that grant?
58,300 and something.
Nice chunk of change.
Yeah, I hope so.
You're a grant writer as well. I know you do a lot of that.
Well, we wear a lot of hats,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
That's how it works.
And we're trying to see what's available to us out there so that, again, we're not constantly coming asking for requests, but some of these are a huge cycle and they take months, 10 months, 11 months before you find out word on them, and then,
Yeah, I heard. I can't hear.
Yeah, we're trying to get body cameras too, so that's a grant that we're waiting on as well.
You've been
That's-
working on that a while, right?
That's already been submitted, it's the waiting game, and that's another 75,000, so hopefully the body cameras, the storage of the video, and that will be so beneficial to this agency. Fostoria, Tiffin's already, looking at ways of being able to get the cameras, and it's a nationwide request from, it's a problem that we're battling with everywhere, so everybody's trying to get to the cameras.
Is a lot of money being allocated to the bigger cities first, since that's where most of the problems are, or is it kind of whoever has the best plan or grant right? I mean,
Yes, yeah. I mean, I foresee that, but it's, they're trying to, the governor, DeWine, is trying to get body cameras. He's seeing in the city of Columbus how well it's beneficial and how many it lowers citizen complaints, and probably 95% plus it exonerates the officer in a complaint. So we definitely want to get to that point. We want to follow and keep on moving forward. you know, the agency, you know, since the sheriff and I have been part of the Sunny County Sheriff's Office, it's continually moving forward. We don't want to ever give the, you know, impression that, you know, working with the commissioners and working with everybody in Senate County that we're staying still. No, we have been continually moving forward, and we're both very grateful for everything that's been done and how well we are collaborating on moving forward with the sheriff's office. So there's been a lot of changes and a lot of positive word out there that's been given to both the sheriff and I during the fair, that, you know, that everything's moving forward great. So everybody's seeing it, so we're continually moving on. It's just that that situation we're in now with the gases, the prices of food, but that's the average citizen's battling that as well. So it's being heard everywhere. I know businesses locally are struggling with food prices. Just, you know, restaurants to stay open, but it's crazy. We never expected to be where we're at today, no doubt.
You know, those contracts you have, isn't Crossway, you have a food contract with who?
We try to go with the
I mean, where they
Several.
buy lunches, don't you serve lunches to somebody? No.
the juvenile center at this
Juvenile
point.
center, okay.
But
Yeah.
Crossway wants to do a contract with us.
Is
but
do we keep the price the same even though your costs go up? with the
No,
juvenile
we'll-
center?
We'll go up.
We-
We haven't.
we pay for it
haven't
one way or the
increased
other.
Cost yet, but I did talk to the judge and told him that at the first of the year, because of our increases, we're gonna have to bump that up a little bit.
Okay, well, we will examine his budget as well. So, I don't have anything else, Barb. You good?
I think I'm good right now.
Jimmy, I'll invite you to make a comment if you want to.
All good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, appreciate it. So I guess this concludes our meeting, and we continue to work on putting our next year's next year budget together. This is helpful. More to come.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, we're a couple, 3 weeks.
Thank you,
out.
everyone. Thank you, commissioners.
Okay.
Thank you.
uh,
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you. Hope you get better.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
adjourn.